You know that feeling, right? That invisible bubble around someone, that gut sense of what feels like the right distance. Well, today we're diving into a concept that gives this feeling a name and a really deep cultural meaning. We're talking about the Japanese idea of ma'ai. Okay, let's get into it. So, right off the bat, let's get one thing straight. Don't think of ma'ai as just a measurement you can get with a tape measure. As this quote says, it's more like a dynamic, living sensibility, almost like an invisible sensor. It's all about the rhythm and the feeling between things, not just the physical gap. All right, so here's the game plan for today. We're going to start where it all began, tracing my eye from its life or death roots in martial arts. Then we'll see how it actually shapes everyday life in Japan. From there, we'll zoom out to its bigger aesthetic cousin, ma. After that, we'll put it head-to-head with the Western idea of personal space. And finally, we'll ask the big question, what's the future for ma in our crazy, hyper-connected world? To really get Mai, you have to start where the stakes are the absolute highest, in the world of Japanese martial arts, or Budo. Because here, getting the distance wrong isn't just a little awkward. It could be the last mistake you ever make. So here's the key thing to grasp. My eye is not a static number. It's a whole formula. It's distance, sure, but it's also time, angle, and rhythm all rolled into one. I mean, think about it. A super fast opponent effectively has a longer my eye, right? Because they can close that gap in the blink of an eye. It's all about potential, not just your physical position. In Kendo, the art of Japanese swordsmanship, they actually break this down into three concrete ranges. You've got Toma, which is your long, safe distance, plenty of time to react. Then there's Chikama, where you're basically in so close it's hard to get a full strike in. But that sweet spot, the one right in the middle, that's Isaku Ito no Mai, the one-step, one-strike distance. This is the heart of it all. It's that razor's edge where you are just one explosive step away from victory, and so are they. It's a distance of pure, vibrating potential. And here's where it gets even deeper. The concept goes beyond the purely physical. Masters talk about kokoro no mai, or mind mai. This is the crazy ability to sense a tiny gap in your opponent's concentration, a moment of doubt or hesitation. It's this psychological radar where a mental opening becomes way more important than a physical one. Okay, so let's step out of the dojo and into our everyday lives, because this is where this high-stakes concept becomes this subtle but really powerful tool for just getting along. It's the invisible dance that we all do without even thinking about it. Have you ever just had a great conversation where the rhythm was perfect? That's ma'ai. It's knowing exactly when to speak and, maybe more importantly, when to just be quiet. It's not about controlling the conversation, it's a kind of wisdom that keeps the relationship healthy. And this is so deeply connected to the Japanese practice of kukyo-yomu, which literally means reading the air, just intuitively getting a social situation without anyone having to spell it out. Now, let's zoom out, because this idea of relational space, is actually just one piece of a much bigger Japanese aesthetic principle called ma. And the core idea of ma is that the empty space, the interval, the pause, the silence, is every bit as meaningful and important as the object or the sound itself. And you can see this everywhere in Japanese culture. In a kabuki play, an actor will suddenly freeze in a dramatic pose called a mi. The real power isn't in the movement before the pose, it's in that silent, charged stillness. Or think about a traditional Japanese room, the washitsu. It's minimally furnished, right? The empty space itself is what gives the room its meaning and flexibility. It's not about what's there, it's about the potential held in what isn't. So you might be wondering, is this whole idea uniquely Japanese? How does this intuitive, holistic concept of mai stack up against how other cultures think about space? Let's take a look. In the West, the scientific approach to this is called proxemics. The term was coined by an anthropologist named Edward T. Hall, and it's all about trying to measure and categorize how we humans use space when we interact. It's a much more analytical way of looking at the same thing. Hall basically mapped out these 4 distinct zones that, honestly, most of us already feel instinctively. You've got intimate distance for people you're very close to, personal distance for friends, social for acquaintances, and then public distance for things like speeches. The key here is that they're all defined by pretty fixed measurements. So when you put them side by side, the difference is it's huge, isn't it? Proxemics is scientific, it's analytical, it's focused on measurable distance. Ma'ai is this holistic sensibility that's steeped in cultural wisdom. It's not just space, it's also time, rhythm, and psychology. It really is the difference between a blueprint and a dance. And of course, none of this is one size fits all. proxemic studies show that what feels right varies wildly across the globe. For example, people in Japan often prefer a bit more space when they're talking compared to people in, say, some South American or Middle Eastern cultures, where being closer is the norm. And, misunderstanding these unspoken rules is the source of a lot of cross-cultural awkwardness. So that brings us right up to today. In a world that's all about digital closeness and being constantly in touch, what's happening to this incredibly nuanced, ancient sense of Ma? Is it fading away?
I mean, it's a really critical question, isn't it? When physical distance becomes totally irrelevant on a Zoom call or in an instant message, do we start to lose our ability to sense the right timing, the right pause, the proper emotional space between us?
And the challenges are just everywhere. Constant notifications from our phones basically destroy the that empty, quiet time we need to think. Remote work completely blurs the lines of who's present and who's not, making it tough to judge that psychological distance. And as we all interact more globally, our different cultural rhythms are just crashing into each other all the time. You could argue our built-in sensor for is getting seriously overloaded.
So, where does all this leave us? We've got these ancient roots and these totally tangled modern branches. Let's take a quick step back and try to pull all these ideas together.
We've seen that mashi started out as a critical survival skill on the battlefield, but it grew into this profound, sophisticated wisdom for navigating human relationships. It's a highly developed sense for the space, the time, and all the psychological currents flowing between people. It's a kind of intelligence that values the gap just as much as it values the connection. And that leaves us with one last thing to chew on. In our constant rush to connect, to text back instantly, to fill every silence, have we forgotten the importance of the space in between? Maybe we've lost the wisdom of the pause, the power of silence, and the simple beauty of just the right amount of distance. And maybe, just maybe, Ma'ai isn't just a Japanese concept, but a beautiful Japanese expression of a universal human need for that meaningful space between us all.